Well, that's a misguided attempt to bring the culture into the church. The culture doesn't belong in the church. The church belongs out in the culture, changing the culture. But if you start bringing the culture into the church, all it's going to do is change the church. It will not change the culture. And so the culture of the church has to be Christ. It has to be around Christ. It has to be for Christ. Now, it doesn't mean we can't be, if you will, modern. But even then, I'm sensitive to how we use that word. We ought to be going out. The church ought to be going to the culture. We don't need the culture in the church. We need the people in the church because that's where they're going to get saved. But if we're bringing them in because the church looks just like the culture, what are we saving them to? How are we saving them if we're not different than the rest of the world? We ought to be different than the rest of the world. This church had another issue, and that's in verse 15.